Hello and welcome to tonight's CLNS Media Patriots Roundtable. I'm your host, Nick Weiss. I'm here with Mike Molyneux tonight. And we got to talk about the Patriots quarterback next season because the team's out. The team is mathematically out. We don't have to do any more of this. Oh, well, they still have a chance. The path is still there. It's done. It's over. This season's over. And for a lot of people, the Cam Newton experiment's over. So, with that being said, who do you want to be the quarterback next season? Because there's really not too many options unless you draft, or maybe you can go out and get somebody. Because there is I want to say a weird amount of rumors going on with quarterbacks who've been in the league for a little bit, who apparently could be on the move. There's some talk that they could be on the move. So, Mike, that's the question, and you can pick Cam Newton if you want. Who do you want to be the Patriots starting quarterback in the 2021 season?
So I think we had a kind of similar conversation on a recent episode. And the same thing that I said in that episode, I'm going to bring it right back because here's how I feel. And first and foremost, let's get this out the way. I'm a Cam Newton fan. Before he was a Patriot, I was a huge Cam Newton fan. His days in Carolina, I loved everything he was doing. Did we get that same, Carolina Panthers MVP season, Cam Newton in New England? No, we did not.
We got the late career Cam Newton. We got the late into his Panthers career Cam Newton.
Yeah, late into his career, Cam Newton that's trying to, bounce back after missing a full season of football and bouncing back from a lot of the injuries that he dealt with. That's the Cam Newton we got. At the same time, we got a Patriots team that sucked. Let's call it what it is. The offense was not up to par. I don't care who the quarterback was. The weapons that the team had was not up to par. And,
Can I ask you this?
Go ahead.
Percentage-wise, what would you blame this season's struggles on for Cam Newton, percentage-wise?
I'm calling it 50-50. That's me. I put, half of the blame goes on Cam. As much as of a fan I am of Cam Newton, I won't lie. He's looked terrible at times, getting the ball out of his hand, terrible pocket presence, not having the awareness.
Horrible. It's been the worst part of his game is the pocket presence. It's been horrible.
Any awareness in the pocket. I'll put a lot of that on Cam Newton. At the same time, who the hell has he been throwing to? N'Keal Harry's just in the last couple of weeks looked like he has some life in his body and looks like he actually understands how to play wide receiver. You're getting what you can, you're squeezing what you can out of Bird, and you're squeezing what you can out of what's the other receiver's name?
Myers.
Myers. Yes, you're squeezing what you can get out of Bird and Myers, and N'Keal Harry's looking like he has a little bit of life in him finally. But we all know, everybody who watches football, everybody who watches the Patriots, that there's not really any top-tier talent on this New England Patriots roster at wide receiver. On top of the fact that the guy who's maybe been your top wide receiver the last several years, Julian Edelman, has been nowhere to be found because he's dealing with injury. He probably just doesn't want to be a part of this sucky-ass team. Who knows?
Jules might be done.
Who knows? But anyways, I put it 50-50. And I mean, I personally believe, I'm one of the people who believe that a Cam Newton in a full offseason under the Patriots organization might be different, as well as the Patriots actually putting in the effort to bring in talented guys that Cam Newton can get the ball to. Even some of the ugliest balls that Cam Newton throws, some of the most talented receivers out there can make something happen and make plays and get yards after catching and have juke moves and just special talent. But it's all on the Patriots and what they want to do. And I believe that next offseason and going into training camp or whatnot, the Patriots I believe, should bring back Cam Newton. I'm pretty sure Stidham's not going anywhere. Hoyer's out the picture. He's over with. He had one shot and he completely blew the rest of his career. So we ain't even looking at Hoyer anymore. But they're going to bring in a third guy. I don't know if it's going to be through the draft. I don't know if it's going to be through some of these free agent quarterbacks that might be out there. Maybe some teams are looking to trade. Who knows what the Eagles are going to do with Hurts taking over and Wentz now backup. He doesn't want to be the backup anymore. Who knows? But there's going to be 3 guys at the quarterback position going into the 2021 season. Cam, Stidham, and somebody else out of draft or free agency. If Cam can show up and show out and go make his presence be known going into the 2021 season, I have no problem with Cam Newton being the quarterback again, as long as the Patriots give the team, not just Cam Newton, give the team weapons to work with. That's how I feel about it. But if it's not Cam, at least put in the effort to bring somebody in who can hold down that quarterback position.
If it has to be Cam, I'll take Cam back if you really don't have any other options, but I think there are better options out there right now. My thing with Cam is, and we were a big Cam Newton show before the start of the season. We were excited to have Cam Newton here. But my thing is, I have to ask myself, is Cam going to be any better next season than he is this season? And I have to ask myself that because, there were a lot of blame on injuries for his last few years in Carolina, why he wasn't so good. He was hurt. Oh, his shoulder. Well, I'm seeing a lot of that same guy here. And not only that, he's not even great right now running the football, and that was his specialty. I remember when the Patriots played him in, was it 2015 or 2014, whatever the year was, and he was tearing them up on the ground. We just don't have that same guy anymore. He's 31 years old, and I don't know how much you can really blame him for that because this is what we expected. He had the same thing going on, the same future discussion as Rob Gronkowski did. He's so big. He's so talented. He's so athletic. But in the early days of his career, because he's so big, people were hammering him. Cam has never avoided contact. Cam, if he's going up against a linebacker on a run, he's not going to do Kyler Murray. He's not going to run out of bounds. He's going to take that hit. He's going to lower his shoulder and try to run over that guy because he can. But we knew that it was going to shorten his career a little bit. And he's 31. This might be it. This might be Cam Newton. But there are a lot of other options out there that you can talk about at quarterback. And like I said at the start of the show, surprising amount of rumors, surprising amount of talk. I mean, I think you might be able to take the Sam Darnold one off the table now that the Jets won. How dumb are the Jets? How do you guys? All you had to do was lose the entire season. You had a potential generational quarterback in Trevor Lawrence in your back pocket. In an AFC East that apparently you need one right now because Tua, I have a lot of hope in. And Josh Allen looks like he's the next stud of this league. So you needed Trevor Lawrence. You lost out on that. I don't know if it's worth getting rid of Sam Darnold at this point, but Sam Darnold's potentially an option if they do decide to trade and draft a guy like Justin Fields. I don't know if they would. He's only 23 years old too, which is something to keep in mind here. Matt Stafford, wildly talented quarterback. If you can, he is my top ideal choice. He's a bridge quarterback. He's 32. He's going to be 33 at the start of the season, I believe. Matt Stafford, if you can get Matt Stafford at a reasonable price, I think that's your most ideal situation. That's a bridge quarterback, a bridge veteran quarterback. And then if you want to draft somebody in the first round, you don't want to start him right away. Maybe like a guy like Zach Wilson, who we talked about before the show because that highlight's going around where he has an absolute cannon and it's a highlight. Of course, you're going to see the best plays of the guy. Everybody's got highlights. I could probably put together a highlight reel when I look good. But there's a lot of talk out about the Zach Wilson kid. If the Patriots like him, maybe you draft him. You bring in Matt Stafford. You have that veteran presence, that veteran coach there. Matt Stafford has gotten the shaft his entire career.
Yeah.
If Matt Stafford wasn't on the Loserville Detroit Lions, he'd probably be one of the top quarterbacks in the league.
I believe it. I'm a huge Stafford fan. I've been a fan of him from the day he came into the league, and it didn't take me long to watch a few, highlights of him in his early days with the Detroit Lions and say, okay, this guy's great. And then he had great years next to Megatron, which made him look even more awesome. Unfortunately, Megatron called it quits and retired early in his career. But Stafford, I'm a huge fan of that guy. I really like Stafford. And the Patriots can find a way to get him here. Screw Stidham and screw Cam Newton. If you could get Matt Stafford in a Patriot uniform, they are set. You still got to draft the guy because, like you said, Stafford is 33 years old.
He's a bridge guy. But he's
Yeah.
he's like a perfect bridge scenario.
Yeah, you get him in here as well as draft a guy who can take a year or two to learn and get acclimated to the NFL life. But it's a matter of time where the Patriots have to draft that guy. Maybe
The next franchise QB.
It's coming. Like they tried to do it the last couple of years behind Brady, but Brady just kept going and he kept going and he kept playing good.
And they had him.
And they had a guy. They had a guy in Jimmy. But it's going to get to a point where, okay, you brought in Cam. Clearly, you don't really have too much faith in Stidham. But I don't know if it's in the 2021 draft or 20. Patriots have to draft the guy eventually.
Jimmy's another option, too. There's some talk out of San Francisco. But again, like if you have the shot at Matt Stafford, he is my ideal scenario. He is, if I had my choice of realistic opportunities, I'm taking Matt Stafford. But then you said Carson Wentz before, too. He's going to want to get out. I'm not a big Carson Wentz guy. I was arguing with Jarrett, who's the co-host of my podcast. And he was like, oh, he had elite years So there are a lot of quarterbacks who had really good seasons before who just fall off. Carson Wentz, you're going to want to take on that project? I don't think so.
He just seems like he's just broken.
He does. Like, he seems like he's broken.
Just broken. And, you don't know what the issue is. You really don't. Because, like you just mentioned, he had a year where we're talking before he got injured. He was having damn near MVP season. I think it was the year.
He was going to win me my fantasy football season, and he dove in the end zone and tore his ACL.
Yeah, I think it was the year Brady
won. I remember that play very clearly.
Carson Wentz was tearing up the league.
Yep.
And, he just hasn't never been the same. And, this year it seems like he's fully healthy, but just something just seems broken somehow. So I don't know if I take the chance on him. I mean, he's still fairly young. He's still a fairly young guy.
What's he?
27 years old. Fairly young guy, but something just psychologically is off with that man. And, do the Patriots take a chance on that? I don't know. At this point, it looks like any option is better than what happened this past season, this current season, whatever you want to call it. But I'm with you, man. Stafford would be a great pickup if they were able to make that happen.
You keep this up at you're probably going to lose either Tooney or Andrews, I would assume, because they're going to cost a lot of money, both of them. But you put this offensive line around Matt Stafford, you protect him from getting injured. He's the best case scenario that you have. And then I'll say this last name before we move on to the next topic in the next episode. After what we saw on Thursday night when Derek Carr went out, I think the Patriots missed out on Marcus Mariota. My goodness, he looked good.
Twitter blew up. Patriots Twitter blew up watching that guy have a hell of a game when he stepped in for Carr. It was funny to watch.
he looked like what he was supposed to be his entire career.
Yeah, he like people. There was probably people out there said, well, maybe we don't need to see Derek Carr next week. Like people are ready to give that guy the keys to the ship over there in Las Vegas. But yeah, maybe the Patriots missed out on him. But Patriots have missed out on a lot over the years.
I did see one more name, and again, we'll wrap this up here. I saw one more name tossed around, but he's not going to win you any football games. I think he's good at what he is right now in Indianapolis as a backup. Jacoby Brissett, he knows the system. I like Jacoby Brissett, but I think he's a backup quarterback. I think that's what he's going to amount to.
Nice guy, real nice guy. But
great guy, phenomenal.
He's not the future of any franchise, unfortunately. It is what it is.